A gritty photograph of this gentleman. He's sort of one of the few public faces of WikiLeaks, and so we actually went out, and this was shot. We shot 4 locations in a half hour, and we were using the California sun bounce that I just had, and that same thing that I showed you, strobe bounced into it, moving around. We wanted the gritty effect, but that's the size unit. Okay, and we've not only lit our subject, and I really wanted to throw this shadow. I like the feeling. We sort of highlighted the grittiness of the building, used the white as to frame him, but you saw the size of our light source. Okay? Look, we've got highlights all the way up in here. It's throwing a fair amount of light in a very portable, compact system. But it's a very different look. Softbox, much more controlled. Now, if you wanted to do the softbox, you would have, to me anyway, you'd have to go with a bigger one. And all of a sudden it gets harder. I mean, we're just walking around the street shooting this stuff. This is complete street photography. This particular one, back to MIT, this gentleman, the only time he could do this, unfortunately, was midday. So now we have to worry about, those ghastly nose shadows. Obviously, we can't do it backlit because the building's facing this way, so that's what it takes care of that idea. So we started out with a fisheye, and we're actually in the road when we're shooting this. We sort of bent the main building, but I didn't want Steven to have these horrible nose shadows, so what we did is if you, unfortunately I don't really have one here, but you can get something like this that's translucent, either round or square. Okay, so if you take this, you've got horrible nose shadows, and you've got a screen that's going to take one stop of light out, all of a sudden, we've lost those nose shadows. Your subject also is now not standing in the bright sunlight, okay? So if you're shooting weddings, you're shooting CEOs, it's going to solve the problem of the nose, of the shadows, it's going to soften your light out, and if you have a whining subject, I'm hot, it'll solve that problem too. Like I joke about it, look, I brought you shade, and it helps them to relax. And you can get this as a small square one of these that actually comes on a pole called a sun swatter that works quite well. Or there are some round ones like this. By the way, if you're bored waiting for a shoot, these things make great frisbees. So anyway, so we did that part of it. So now we've got him in the shade. And what actually happened is the walk light came on, my assistant ran out into the street, the professor went into the street, assistant runs up a ladder, holds this big screen over the professor's head. I run out in the street with a fisheye, hold my strobe out like this and fill the light back in. And then 15 seconds later, the walk light's over and we're about to be hit by a bus. And that's how it had to be done. It was just a dome like that, yeah? Yeah. Yeah, bounce like this. Nothing fancy at all. Quick and efficient. I have. I think, some people really like the Gary forms. I think they're great things. They give a look, which a lot of people really like. I own one. Yeah, it'd be a different look. Yeah, absolutely. The flash benders fit in your camera bag. The Gary forms don't fit quite as well. The thing that I just brought up, yeah. You get great light out of this. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. As I try to explain in workshops, that there are lots of ways to do this. There's no necessarily right or wrong way. It is the way that you like that creates the light that you like. And I'm forever trying new things and trying to reinvent myself, and I think a lot of shooters are. So things come and things go, and there are lots of different ways to do this. This was actually from a workshop that we did up in Burlington, Vermont for Pocket Wizard and ASMP. And this is actually again Keiko with one of the subjects, and this is this enormous barn that we were working that was like an acre in size. It's the entryway. But the lighting on this is 2 softboxes now. We have a medium-sized Shimura that's filling it in. Okay, and then there's a smaller one just pointing up at the ceiling because we didn't want this area to go dark. We wanted you to get this feeling of being pulled into the outdoors, which meant that we had to make sure that we had a good exposure back here. That's where we had to start. Okay, now we're going to get into dealing with color balances a bit. So this particular image now, they wouldn't have given me time to light this entire theater, nor did I want to light it. So we lit this with one speed light. This was lit with a Canon 580EX. Into a small softbox, from this direction, reflector on the other side, Camera's on a tripod, but I don't color correct for the tungsten light. I let it go warm. Okay, it gives me a nice feeling of this old theater at Harvard, and it's just a lovely feeling of it. Now, I could have corrected for it and made the whole background colder, but I like the warm background. I stayed with daylight. I knew exactly what was going to happen. Okay? This is a young gang member in East LA. It's part of a long project I did on cops and gangs, or as I described it, an all expenses paid trip to America's worst neighborhoods. But this was actually lit with one mag light and one police car. That's all the lights is in. The cop holding a big flashlight is the lighting in this one. This is a big flashlight. I'm sorry? No, a flashlight. That's exactly what it was. Yes, it was a big cop flashlight, the kind that they get mad at you, they can hit you with. Not that they would ever do that. Okay, let me go on this one, please, here. So the assignment on this one is go photograph this gentleman. His name is Nicholson Baker. He's an author. And he's going to be signing books. Go photograph him signing books. Oh, there's a picture we've never seen before. The bookstore is right up the street from the Boston Public Library, oldest public library in the country. I think that might be a better background. So I call Nicholson up, and we make a time, and I want to do it very late in the day. It's right about this time of year. And I start out, now look, I could expose to the sky, I could expose to the building. Well, I expose for the sky. The buildings, we don't care if we see detail, we just know that we're in a city, okay? And I didn't care if I got detail in the lamps. You know, we just know now it's sort of old and ornate. So our lighting in this again is one small speed light through a softbox. You can see some highlights along the rim of the Kindle, some highlights in through here. We just have them turn the Kindle until we can actually read it, okay? And look, here's the Flexfo right here. And we just stuck it on a light pole. And obviously, you know, when it went to the client, I actually removed that. I didn't remove it out of the picture, I cropped it. I mean, in our world as journalists, you know, you can't add, you can't subtract. You can only do what you could do within the camera. This is actually, I'm just walking down the street and I came up upon this. And I waited while Santa Claus talked to children. I thought it'd be nice to not push the kids out of the way. And what I did though is I'm watching the light here, and I'm watching the light here. And I'm watching this ambient light in the sky drop until my sky's getting bluer and bluer. And at about the point that this and this match, I sort of say, "Hey Santa, how are you?" And he goes, "Hi." And that's how we did it. And just a little pop flash. Okay? So we're balancing out this light source, and look, we got some nice warm highlights on the gentleman's face. Oh, this is, at each workshop we try to do a silly group picture. So this is from the one in Vermont, and we actually lit this. You can see everybody's holding a speed light. They're also holding a beer in the other hand, but at the end of the workshop we feel like you need beer. So, but look, everybody's lighting themselves in this photograph. And the camera is actually on a 20-foot light stand, and it's being triggered with a pocket wizard back to the camera that's then sending the signal back to all the pocket wizards that are connected to all these strobes. And that's triggering all the strobes. We thought we'd make it a little complicated. And actually, look, here's the set. This is how we did it. So a couple more speed lights down around in here to fill it up. You like our platform? It's drove a car right into the barn, stood on the roof. And this is the whole set. So this is, if anybody remembers Cheers, this is Cliff. That's the mailman. And I've worked with, it's John Ratzenberger is the gentleman's name, and I've worked with John a bunch, and he's a great guy, but you're really not going to tell him much. You just watch what he's going to do and make his pictures. So we're out sailing on a 12-meter yacht, which meant I didn't have a whole lot of equipment because he's sailing a 12-meter yacht, and I'm not letting my lenses roll into the harbor. So we have the strobe set like this. We're just bouncing it through a cube.